Alrighty, guys. So we have another interview, and for today we have Jose Velez. Jose, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So I guess where we will start off is just starting off with your childhood. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're about.
Well, my childhood was pretty awesome. I'm from Arecibo, Puerto Rico, so I lived on the coast.
Okay.
So most of my time was spent with my family, who was very, very tight, close family, and then friends, and we just did typical Puerto Rican things: go to the beach, hang out, barbecue outside, that type of stuff. So it was simple and nice childhood, no complications.
Great. And do you have any siblings?
I have one brother.
One brother. Okay.
He's younger by a year.
By a year, got you. So for how many years did you live in Puerto Rico, and how did that really shape the way that you saw things?
Well, I lived in Puerto Rico till I was 21, and Puerto Rico is very relaxed, and people like to have fun. They like to enjoy themselves. Food is a big part of the culture, and family and having family, fun with the family is a big part of the culture. So that's why I believe Puerto Ricans tend to be very relaxed type of group, and we like music and being outdoors. So it's I think that's the culture in a nutshell.
Okay, that's great. So it seems like you had a lot of fun as a child and
Yes, I
growing
did.
up. So that's really good. But in your later years, when you were in high school and you were going, I guess growing up, did you see a specific route or something that maybe caught your attention to something you would do in the future?
Yeah, I started working when I was 12. My uncle owned a shop, and he fixed air conditionings in cars. So my grandma used to pick me up and then drop me at the shop, and I would go there, work on the hangar, and clean cars and do just regular things that needed to be done around the shop. And as I grew older, then I started working on cars too. I had another uncle that worked with bikes. He owned the Kawasaki franchise, so I was around motorcycles, jet skis quite a bit. So I think that's one of the things that I really, really liked when I was a kid, and I still enjoy a lot. It's just cars and mechanics and things like that. Another thing that I really enjoyed was sci-fi. I'm a huge Star Wars, Star Trek fan, so that's something that drew me into like sciencey things, and I loved watching the Discovery Channel and things like that. So that was a big influence on me, I guess.
Okay, so that's nice. So you like mechanics growing up, and when you were in high school, were there any classes that taught these things, or was it just basic classes? And how did you see school at that time?
Well, I went to a kind of rough high school, rough in Puerto Rico sense. I think inner city schools are even rougher than where I went to. But there were gangs, and there was a lot of fighting. And Puerto Rico, I really wasn't focused in school at all. I didn't go to school that much. I think I never went to school on Friday. I just went to work.
Okay.
So
With your uncle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just went, and my parents, school wasn't a focus. They wanted me to do good, They wanted me to go to school. So I did go. It's not that I didn't go. It's just that it wasn't a focus. And I cared more about having fun in the shop with my uncle and my cousins than actually going to school. Now I had good grades, so my mom was like, if you're having good grades, and that's all I care about,
Okay.
And for the most part, I kept out of trouble because I was working so much. So there was not a lot of time to do rowdy and stupid things while I was working. So that was a positive too, I think.
Got you. So, I guess high school, would you say it wasn't, it was easy for you, to get through the classes and then?
Yeah. It was fairly simple. I mean, it was easy mainly, I guess, because there wasn't like people that around me didn't study that much, and as a result, teachers didn't like dive too deep into the material.
Okay.
So as a result, I don't think we touched on anything that I considered hard.
Gotcha.
So as a result, everything was relatively easy, and I wasn't a 4.0 student. know, my grades I think were between like 310 and 340 ish. So it's not that I had straight A's, but it was enough to get by, and my parents were happy with it.
Okay, that's good. So what was your focus? If you say school wasn't your focus, it was mainly going to the shop with your uncle and just learning?
Yeah.
Learning the business, learning how to fix things. What was it that really made it fun for you?
Since I was a kid, I liked working, and my parents kind of instilled that on me. They both were very, very hardworking people. And I think for me, it was more important to become a good worker than to become like a super smart kid. That didn't interest me that much. And I think I learned quite a bit by being in that shop, just seeing my uncle being very business savvy, how he treated his clients, how he was also a very hardworking person. That was a big influence. And my dad was the same way. He was very business. I think he was a very good salesman, and he is a very good salesman. And also, they are both highly detailed people. I remember when I was growing up, one of the things that my dad did that I absolutely hated was that when we mowed the yard, man, he wanted to pick up every single everything that was on the yard. There was nothing that could be there. Even the leaves of the trees, and we had a guava tree that had tiny leaves in the back, and everything had to be perfectly cleaned before we could go play or do whatever we wanted. So it was being detail oriented was a very big part of their style, and I think I learned that from them.
It rubbed off on you?
Yeah, I think, I get annoyed when people do things that are not like polished. And even when I have to do things that don't come out very polished, I get very annoyed with myself. So
See, you get fancy.
I don't get fancy. Well, sometimes, but
You get fancy.
yeah, I sometimes get fancy.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just that if you're gonna do something, you gotta do it right.
That's true.
That was a big part of growing up, especially with both my uncle and my dad.
Okay, so that's great. And we always like to talk about the influences of our family members,
Yeah.
especially our close relatives, our mother or our father. So you already touched on your father and your uncle.
Yeah.
What about your mother? What did you take from her?
My mom, I think she is a very smart person, and in different ways. She knows how to deal with people. She's very patient, very caring, and also I think she is very business savvy. He knows how to manage her money very well, and I learned that from her. Like having a bank account and managing your own money, that's something she taught me very well. So I think I have to be very thankful. Plus, both my parents were all about, we were very church oriented and very spiritually oriented, so they inculcated that on me. And I think that really helped me in many other ways too.
Okay, so that's a good foundation, I guess, in regards to your childhood. And now when you move on from high school, what then? What was on your mind?
Nothing really. I really thought I was gonna end up being like a mechanic or an electrician, something, because to be honest with you, most of my cousins went to college and none of them finished. So.
Were they close to finishing?
No.
No?
No, I have one cousin that I think he took like 8 years or 9 years to finish. Like he started for like 5 or 6 years, then he left, then he came back and he slowly finished. So I don't think, there was definitely no interest from me to go to college, and my parents were not forcing me to go to college at all. All they wanted was for me to work hard, maintain myself, have a good lifestyle, have a normal life. They didn't put any high aspiration in the economic side for me.
Okay, so that's very good because they gave you the freedom.
Yeah.
They gave you the freedom
Yeah.
to go explore and try new things. And throughout that journey that you were trying to figure out what to do, you wanted to be a mechanic, an electrician. What ended up happening?
Well, that's hard to explain. When I was in high school, they always make you fill up those college application things, and my dad always wanted to be an engineer, so I didn't have anything going forward. So I said, I'll just put engineering, and I said, well, okay, what type of engineering? I thought I liked cars, mechanical engineering, and then I put a couple more engineering things on the application, and then I submitted it, and after a while, I was accepted at a university. And something you need to understand about Puerto Rico is that the university is very cheap, at least at that time. Like a semester would cost you $350.
What time was that?
This is like early 2000, 2004-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like $350 for a full semester.
For a full semester.
Right.
Wow.
So
okay.
it was very, very cheap. And the university was about an hour away from home, so I didn't have to be too far. So I got accepted, and I said, hey, let me just try it and drop out like my cousins. That's what I thought.
You're thinking like, let's see how far this thing goes.
Yeah. I got a scholarship, and I wasn't going too far away. My cousins, and a lot of my friends were in college, and so I said, I'll just go do it, drop out in 2 years, and then go become a mechanic. That's what I thought was going to happen, honestly. And then, so I started I didn't get into mechanical engineering. I got into some other engineering discipline, but I thought, okay, let me go check the classes in mechanical engineering, and let me look at the hardest one. And that, from everybody that I talked to, was thermodynamics. And I sat down in that class my first semester just to see what was going on there, and I got bored out of my mind. Thermodynamics is very interesting, but the guy that was teaching it, although was very smart, he was boring.
It was boring.
He was very boring. And that kind of drew me out of engineering, and I started looking at other things.
Okay. And so besides college, were there other opportunities that you could have had in Puerto Rico to maybe be at some shop that did design work or?
Yeah, I guess I could have if I wanted to. It's just that I never, I take things one at a time. So I was like, this came up, let me just go try it. My cousin was in the university too, and I thought it was going to be fun living with him. So I tried that. I honestly believed that I was going to drop out after a year or two, and then go to a trade school, become a mechanic or an electrician.
Gotcha. So you get the boring teacher,
Mm.
and he bores you to death.
Yeah.
You switch majors, and what do you end up doing then?
So I had a lot of friends in different disciplines, so I started looking at a lot of stuff. And one of my friends was studying physics, and that was very interesting to me. But the stuff that he did was mostly military work,
Okay.
and a lot of the work that was going on in the physics department there was military related. So the department that was next to it was geology. And I became friends with a very tight group of people in geology, and I thought, this is kind of cool. And then I learned there was something called geophysics, and I took a class, became very interested, and that's what I did.
Okay, so you did geophysics for how many years?
After that, 3 years. So I graduated in 4 years.
Graduated in 4. So you finished your degree. How was that college experience? Was it good? Did you learn a lot?
Well, to me, it was very harsh because I was working at the same time.
Okay.
So I got the opportunity because I was really good in mathematics. I was called to work in something called the Puerto Rico Seismic Network. So I worked locating earthquakes for my entire college life. So I was working 40 to 30 hours a week.
Wow.
Doing that, doing earthquake science, and then I was also doing the
How'd
college
you get
stuff.
that job?
Well, like I said, I changed into geology in my first year, at the end of my first year, and I had already completed most of the mathematics classes, and they had a project from the USGS that was about creating a mathematical model to understand the destructive power of an earthquake depending on where it was located and how deep it was and how big it was. So they needed somebody that was going to be there for 3 years to kind of ramp up that project that was good at programming and at math. So that's how I got that job.
Gotcha. Okay, so that seems very intense.
Yeah, it was.
And then college and balancing all that out, but you finished in 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then you found a job.
Now I got, so while I was there were multiple people that were thinking of, you know, you're pretty good at this, so you should start looking at doing more work in science. We think you're pretty good at it. And there was a person there called George Yakwash, he was at Caltech. There was another guy called Jay Pulliam, who was in Berkeley. And they kind of wanted me to go into the earthquake route. And at that time, I was very intensely hooked in just being a good scientist. That's pretty much all I cared about, which is not a good thing at all, I think. But because you get absorbed, you don't look at anything else. You know, I went to my family's house every weekend, but I was absorbed in work. And as a result, people have fun in college and they enjoy it a lot. Although I did have fun a little bit, but I didn't have the college experience that everybody had. You know, I was just either working or with my family or studying. That was it. There was no time for anything else.
But did you like it?
I mean, I did. It's just that when you become laser focused like that, and I did this through many years, you figure out when you look back that you lose a lot of time that you're not going to get back. So it would have been nice to be a little bit more balanced.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't balanced. That's the right word. And because of that, I missed into a lot of things that I should have been more focused into instead of just doing that.
Okay, got you. So maybe there's a gem right there, a piece of advice that you could give out to high schoolers going into college or even college students. What would be the advice there?
Well, if it depends on what you want to do, and I am a big proponent that not everybody should go to college. A typical example, my brother, although he's very smart and graduated for college, that wasn't his thing. And it was hard for him to finish the university, and he had so much time invested already that he just wanted to finish. But I don't think he enjoyed his time there that much, like classes. Unlike me, that I was fascinated by what I was doing, I don't think he enjoyed that much. So I don't think everybody should try to go the college route. You have to figure out what's important for you and understand that you have a finite amount of time. So you select your goal, and then you go, okay, my goal is to have a family and have kids and do this. I need a regular job to do that. You don't need to become a super hardcore scientist or a big shot banker to do that. Because being a big shot banker will take all of your time. And then the part that you cared about, which was your family, is going to suffer for that. And you just have to find what's important for you and then find a job that allows you to do that.
Okay, so I like that point you made. Not everybody should go to college.
No. I don't
But do you think it's also because there's so many routes that someone can take, so many opportunities?
You mean why people are forcing the idea of college on people?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
No, the idea of college, I strongly believe, is because the system models the behavior on itself. So the educational system is modeled by people that are PhDs in education and have that point of view. And because that worked for them, they say this is the right path. And if you look at the statistics, yeah, you're gonna have a higher likelihood that you're gonna have a good job if you go to college. But that statistic might not apply specifically to you. I know a lot of people that went to college and had had hard time finding a good job. And I know people that went to a community college or a trade school and did good work, and they're doing great right now. Mechanics, electricians, plumbers, those are all fantastic jobs. Don't require 4 years, don't require much in terms of education, and they can help you have a balanced, good lifestyle. There are people that like that. There are people like me that went overboard and kind of paid for it.
So am I hearing regret?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I studied way too much.
Yeah.
And you know, I got a good job now, but when I look at my friends and see how they enjoyed their 20s, for example, and I look at my 20s, they were spent pretty much on a basement doing research.
How old are you now?
I'm 32 now.
Okay, so you're just entering your 30s.
Right.
I'm just curious. How are their 30s?
They're fine. You know, they have houses and they have kids and they have a regular lifestyle. I don't think there's anything that those people that didn't go to college, or they went to a trade school, they don't have anything that I could say, oh, I'm better for going to college than they are.
Gotcha.
They have an equally good and fulfilling life than I did.
Yeah, I think it just depends, like you said,
Yeah.
each person, right?
Right.
Okay.
It depends on what you care about.
What you care about,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so that's a good thing. So, I guess for someone entering college, would you say it's good to have a good perspective when you're going into college, knowing why you're going?
Yeah.
Not just going because
somebody
everyone
tells
you to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something, like, I knew that I liked science, and I was thinking I'll get a degree and maybe I'll become a teacher. That was very appealing to me when I was in college, and I really like that aspect. But if your focus is have a good job, to have your family, have a simple, happy lifestyle, you can do that without a college degree. And specifically in the U.S., where college is so incredibly expensive, that might not be your best bet. You know, becoming a good plumber, a good electrician, a good nurse, that doesn't necessarily have to do a 4-year degree, could get you everything that you want without the hassle of going into debt in many cases and doing all this other stuff. So college is not the answer for everybody.
Gotcha. Okay, stated. And when we think about, in your case, you said that you did a lot of work during your 20s. Even though you enjoyed it, I don't know, I guess what I want to ask is, for someone that truly enjoys something and that, you know, they pass their 20s or they give those up, do you think that it's more of a perspective type of decision for that person to give up that amount of time to do what they love, or to figure out what they want to do?
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me. When I finished my bachelor's, I was asked to go to graduate school, and because I liked a lot what I did, I thought, you know, I need to go to grad school to become better at this. And so I went to grad school and did that for multiple years, and worked in many places that were considered very high end and like the ultimate in research. And when I came out of all that stuff that I worked so hard for, it was like, you know, it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it would be.
Okay.
I thought if I reach this level, I'm finally gonna be happy with myself. And when I reached it, I was like, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't a big deal.
So it wasn't really the process that you enjoyed, it was more of trying to reach a milestone?
Right,
more of that?
right. It was like, okay, I want to be this good, or be able to work in this place.
Okay.
And when I reached it, in against all odds that I reached it, then it was like, okay, it's just a regular job. So it wasn't everything that I reached, and I reached pretty much what I wanted. When I got there, it wasn't. It was just a regular job, or it was, I wasn't as happy as I thought I would be.
Okay.
So reaching what you think you're gonna reach, and you think, okay, if I get this job, I'll be happy. And you reach it, you're gonna figure out that the job is not what makes you happy. There are other things that make you happy. They're way more important.
And what about loving the process? How important is that instead of focusing on, like you said, reaching a goal? Because once you reach a goal, like, it's over. You have to put a new one, right? Like in your case.
Right.
But what about just loving the process of what you're doing? Not really the end goal, but just the process of the day to day, going to work, doing what you love.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, I got to do things that I thought I would never be able to do, and it was very exciting. What you're gonna figure out is that doesn't matter how exciting something is. After a while, it becomes routine. For example, one of the things that I wanted was to be able to work at NASA, and I got to do that. And I thought, okay, this is the pinnacle of, research. I got to work on very extreme stuff. It was very exciting, but after a while, it was just as fun as working in the shop with my uncle. And when you look at all the work that you had to do to get there, you go, was this really worth it? Like leaving my family behind, going to this other place, not date, because I didn't date that much when I was in my 20s.
You wish you would have dated more?
No, not dated more, but I'm thinking, there's a lot of things
Yeah.
that I missed because I was doing that.
For
like,
sure.
Like I wasn't with my family as much as I wanted. And there's a lot of things that you miss when you're that focused on getting to those kind of extreme goals. Like there was things in church that I want to work on, and I didn't as I should have, because I was so focused on the work. And it wasn't till I reached like what I wanted that I realized that it wasn't that important,
Okay.
and there were other things that were more important.
Okay. Got you. So your perspective changed without the years.
Yeah. I would say that what you think, like that goal that you think it's gonna make you happy, might not make you as happy as you think it would. Like
Okay.
reaching that job or finishing college won't make you that. Those are very vague things.
Okay. So there's more to life than.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So after you finished college, and you were doing all these projects, you tell us that you worked for NASA, which I think would be awesome.
I mean, it was awesome.
Camera guy over there has a shirt, but so you do that, and then you do research for earthquake analysis. You do a lot of things, but now you didn't really date as much as you said. And now you get married, man. You get married at 29. How does that change?
That's when you get into. That's now that I'm married, that I'm doing the things that actually make me happy. That's when the regret kind of starts coming in, because I thought, oh man, I could have, for example, my wife and I dated for 4 years.
Okay.
We could have gotten married sooner if it wasn't for all the work that I was doing, for example. That's something that could have happened. I could have spent more time with my family. And I'm doing things now that I think are more important than the research I was doing.
So, sorry for interrupting, but so why did you? You kind of have a few regrets here and there throughout, what you did up to that point before you were married, or, during that phase. But why? Why were you doing it? If
I think I kind of got caught up. It was like finished grad school, I got offered this opportunity to do one thing, and then another thing came in, and it was all seemed very exciting, and I did it for 7 years, then after that, I was finishing with my degrees. I had a job offer. I had multiple job offers, and I started figuring out that college stuff or that research stuff wasn't as important as having a real life.
Okay, gotcha. And so throughout those years, though, I guess what I'm trying to get at is why did you do that for those 7 years? Like, 'cause
Again,
for some people, was it because there's so many things, right? There could be someone telling you to do it. I don't think that's your case.
Yeah.
I think you had the freedom. Was it you were trying to get to a certain level academically? Were you trying to reach a certain financial goal? What was it? What was driving you for those 7 years?
It was definitely not financial. For example, I'll give you a simple. When I started studying mathematics, right, and when you start in college, you go, okay, I'm going to start pre-calculus, calculus 1, calculus 2. And the pinnacle of your undergrad is probably differential equations, right?
Yeah.
So
Which I'm scared of, guys. It's okay. We got a good guy right here.
So once you reach that, then you figure out, differential equations is not enough to do the type of analysis I need to do. You need, for example, non-differential equations. You need statistical analysis, and then you go, okay, I got to study that to do this type of research that I want to do. And if you keep going and you keep going down the rabbit hole, you'll figure out that you're never going to end. But that takes time to figure that out. And that's where I was. I was like, okay, I did this and I want to do this that's more complicated and this that is more complicated. And because of the type of money that was involved, you have like the pressure of, okay, they're paying me this money to finish it, or there's a lot of people looking at me to finish their work, and you have commitments with deliverables, and kind of you get rolled into this, and people go, okay, you're really good at this, we want you to do this, that it's even more exciting but involves way more work, and you kind of get rolled into all this.
Get tied up.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened to me. I mean, it was interesting, it was very interesting, but it was a ton of hard work.
Would you say you kind of lost your North Star, like the purpose of why you were doing it?
Yeah, and I was doing crazy stuff. Like I did geothermal work for the Department of Energy in Wyoming. I did like the NASA thing. I did polar research. I did all kinds of like random crazy stuff because they seemed interesting. And I got kind of crazy for a while. They kept paying me. I wasn't dating. I was obsessed with what I was doing, and I had the liberty to do it. That's the other thing.
Yeah, you weren't.
I wasn't tied up.
You weren't tied up, man.
Yeah.
So you finally get married, man. You're 29 years old. Not too long ago.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
So you get married. How did that change? I'm sure it changed everything.
Everything, yeah.
Or in some cases, some of the people we interview, it didn't change much. That person, it depends, I guess, whoever you marry.
Right.
Either they adjust to you or everything just changes. But tell us about you. How did it change?
In my particular case, so we got married and then we moved to Texas.
Okay.
So it was, and I was starting a new job.
And you met her in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've known each other for many years.
Gotcha.
So we got married in Puerto Rico, hopped on a plane, went to Kansas, grabbed my stuff, and drove to Houston.
Bro, that sounds exciting.
It
Sounds
was
out of a movie.
Yeah, it was exciting, but you got to deal with many things.
Gotcha.
For example, she was leaving Puerto Rico for the first time, so emotionally that was a little bit hard
That's tough.
too. You're married for the first time in a place you don't know, you don't speak the language, so it's exciting, but it's scary at the same time.
And then you said Puerto Ricans are very family oriented.
Yes, we are.
So tell me this. So when you were working like really hard, would you say, for you it didn't really affect you as much until later on, or?
Well, I'll tell you a story that it's interesting. When I moved to Kansas, I got there in January. So December that year, my roommate left, all my friends left, and I couldn't do anything because the university was closed. So I couldn't do work, and I had nobody in Kansas.
Dang.
So I freaked out.
What did you do, man?
I hopped in my car and drove to Chicago to go to my uncle's house.
What?
And like at
How
3,
long?
I called my uncle and say, hey, I'm going to your house. Leave the key outside. I'll be there at 4 in the morning. So I packed my bags, got on the car around 4-ish, and then drove to Illinois.
How long? How long of the drive?
Well, I got caught on a gigantic traffic jam on the highway. So I think the whole trip technically takes about 8 hours, but it took about 12 because of the big traffic.
Okay.
But that gives you an idea.
You always have to be doing something.
Yeah, if I'm not doing anything, I go crazy.
You go crazy?
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I also feel like that at times. I don't think that's a problem though. I think that's good if you direct it in the right way. So what
Well-
do you think?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. My wife hates it.
Your wife hates it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Betsy goes like, can you just sit down and not do anything?
Oh man.
And then I go, no.
You're like,
it's
no?
very, very difficult for me to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Betsy's way more relaxed. than
She's
me.
more chill.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she works hard, don't get me wrong. It's just that she knows when to stop.
Yeah.
And I haven't figured that out yet.
It's okay, man. It's okay. All right. Well, hey, at least you found someone that was able to deal with,
She was, found somebody that was able to deal with me.
with your craziness.
Yes,
man.
exactly.
It's
yes.
okay though, but
She
see-
deserves a prize.
All right, man. So moving on after that. So you go crazy. You gotta be working all the time. Now she felt really attached. She said to family, and I would understand that from the Puerto Rican culture. But with the after the first year, second year, job wise, how did it change? You moved to Houston. You
Right.
settled down.
Well, there were multiple challenges. The first thing that happened when I moved in is that Chevron was firing a ton of people, and so it was very close to lose my job. So that we had to deal with that. It thankfully didn't happen. But
Had you recently?
Yeah.
Like just recently?
Yeah.
Signed on.
because what happened with me is that Chevron hired me 3 years before I graduated. They really wanted me to go in.
Okay.
So I since it was going to take so long for me to finish, I specifically asked him for a contract. And when I got here, there were a lot of layoffs because of the downturn in the oil industry. So thankfully they couldn't touch me the first year, but then the second year they closed my position and I needed to move to a different job or find a different job within the company. So it was stressful. Thankfully, again, I didn't lose my job, but it was stressful, and she was there all the way, very positive and very supportive. So that was one of the things that we had to deal with just moving in.
Wow. Okay. And so you had left Kansas. What were you doing in Kansas?
Kansas, I was finishing my grad degree, and I was also working at NASA.
Okay, so we're doing both of those, and then you moved here. I mean, I know we have NASA here in Houston too.
But I wasn't in Houston.
You were in Houston.
I was in Maryland.
You were in Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay. How different are they? Like.
They're very different. Houston deals with the communications with the space station,
Okay.
and they do a lot of rocket research, and they have the pool, the training there. So I think that was mostly Houston does. Maryland is very different. Maryland deals a little bit with the politics because it's so close to Washington
DC.
DC, with the White House and the budget and all that stuff. And there's a place in DC that mostly deals with that, but Maryland, I think it's related to that. A lot of the climate research is done in Maryland. A lot of the satellite stuff is done in Maryland. So that's where I was. And then I think there's another one that I went to. I can't remember the name. I know it's in California, and they have the wind tunnels there and the supercomputing, and there's other centers along the way too.
Gotcha. Okay, so what now? You're married. You're here in Houston. How do you like the job? How do you like what you're doing now? How your life has changed? Because the past you can't change. Like that's done, right?
Yeah.
You know, but moving forward, I mean, you're gonna live another 60 years. So you still got
Well,
life ahead of you.
what I think especially Betsy that doesn't have the shortcomings that I have has taught me to just hang out more with people, stop working so hard. She tells me when I get home, shut down the computer, don't do any work. And that has taught me to kind of enjoy life a lot more than I used to. I used to work, again, Monday to Sunday, didn't stop that much. Now she makes me stop, and I'm enjoying more with I'm enjoying life significantly more than I used to. And have great friends. I'm doing church stuff that is very rewarding, and it's more important than anything that I did before. And I think I'm happier, a lot happier than I used to be. So I'm doing things that are, in my view, rewarding, and that makes me a lot happier.
That's great, man. We're happy for you that you're happier now. And before we finish off, we like to tell our guests 3 things, 3 keys that have helped you and that you would like to share with our audience. Just 3 things that you would want to leave with our audience to think about.
I think one of the things I tell people always is figure out what you want first, and then move towards that. Don't let people tell you, okay, this is what you need to do, because it's not going to work out. And people try, and this is the other thing, people try to make you kind of go on their route sometimes, sway you on their route from their point of view. And I mean, it's important to listen to experienced people, don't get me wrong, but you gotta choose your own path.
You can't blame them later.
Yeah, you gotta choose. Like, I made my bed, and a lot of people went, maybe you're spending too much time on this, and I didn't listen to them. You know, so you make your own bed. So don't listen to people all the time. Just try to figure it out on your own.
Gotcha. Okay.
Unless they're right, and you know they're right, and you're trying to divert because that's what you want to do. But anyway, that's a different point. And third, you know, what makes you happy are the simple things in life.
Okay.
Work, it's just to be able to live a life. Don't just focus on the simple things that make you happy.
Okay. And number 3?
3, man, choose a good wife.
Okay, that's good.
Or a good partner, you
a
know.
Good partner, yeah.
Choose a good partner. That makes life a lot better. Definitely.
Well, thank you, Jose, for being on the show. We really do appreciate having you, man. A lot of things we talked about today, and we wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty. Yeah, that was good. ¿Cómo te sientes?
I don't remember what I said, so.
It's okay, you didn't say anything bad.